Another response video to the Modern Mystic. I guess this one on efilist channel. Anyway, just talking about brain stuff. It really is just a draft science kind of video. But so I was thinking of this in the terms of, basically what's on trial with the Modern Mystic. I mean, it's sort of interesting talking about how the brain works and all that stuff, but it doesn't mean much if his end conclusion is that, I'm the stuff going on in my brain isn't much different than the stuff going on in that log. That it's just mattering. Energy goes in, behavior comes out, so that part's easy to see. It's like a bunch of energy comes in from the sun, from eating, it gets metabolized, moves around, bounces around, and it creates this blah blah blah, and it creates words and all this little other bullshit. But that the actual function isn't, the feeling thing just isn't a thing. That the conceptions themselves, the thoughts, the me-ness of it isn't really a me. And if you put it on trial, if you said, okay, let's put consciousness on trial, what is consciousness? And you had to argue it to something that didn't know it, that would be really difficult. But the mystic does know it, he does experience it, and he's still negating it. Still negating that it's anything other than its parts. So here I'm getting hoisted on the reductionist petard or whatever. I like reductionism. I like the idea of reducing things, but I have this this idea that there is a place where you can do too much of that. And I guess to talk ourselves out of what our experiences are saying to us, what consciousness, being conscious, is saying, which is, holy crap, there's a good and a bad, there's a feel good, a feel bad, there is a value difference that's happening in here. It's just undeniable. But prove it. And that's the tricky part. So we're sort of just talking about mechanisms or metaphors for understanding the mechanicalness of it. The fact that you aren't a you in the sense of a you. You don't do anything spontaneous or original. Your consciousness just witnesses the machinery fighting with itself. The energy comes in, it bounces around inside your head. Some of those bounces create a feeling, some of those bounces create a thought, and those thoughts and feelings change the way stuff bounces around in there. And you just pop out with your little digital, like some kind of solar thermometer. Digital solar thermometer. The sun comes in, recharges the battery, the temperature sensor brings the data in, it bing bang booms around a little bit in the circuitry, and little numbers flash up on the screen. And that's pretty much all we are, if you reduce it all the way down. But somewhere in this, I just think there's got to be a concession that you could have very high levels of digital thermometer complexity, supercomputer kind of idea, network on top of network on top of network, fiddling with itself, and you still wouldn't have this conscious thing, this sense of, and it's kind of important. Saying it's kind of important is a lousy legal argument. You can go into court with it's kind of important. No, that ain't gonna work. There's so little in the universe to compare it to. What do you compare a feeling to? What do you compare the lowest of the repulsive and just the weight of it, the lead weight of a hard, sick feeling. Where do you go to show that weight? What do you bounce it into? What kind of test instrument can you use or build to detect that thing, to to create a way of seeing it that you can't see, a sensor for it, right? Like the digital thermometer has to have the sensor. You have to have some kind of device that's impacted by the raw thing that is the feeling. And that's the weird thing. We are the sensor. We're the test instrument. We're the thing that's capable of detecting consciousness temperature. Obviously, we're sensing it. We're receiving the data. We have the right antenna to receive. I think the fact is we're creating it, but it doesn't matter. I mean, it's the same thing as receiving it. We're creating it in such a way as to be able to say, here it is, I feel it, it's right here now, right here in my head, happening. So, I mean, I guess that could be one argument, is that we are in fact the sensor. So I could go and show all the sensors we can make with science, with technology, and I could show how those sensors receive something and create something, and that's that we somehow, because of the configuration of these machinery, it creates this illusion, this phenomenon, this projection inside our brain of consciousness. It does happen. It does take place. It's a coherent, real detection of something really created. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's I'm just saying. I mean, I gotta work harder. Gotta do better than that. But that's not going to win the case, right? So the evidence of the substantive meaning of consciousness, evidence of its mass, its weight, its space. I like to say, it doesn't really. It's not going to contain space. It's not going to displace space. So there has to be some other instrument used to show it, used to display it. And all I can come up with is, fuck, God, how can you not see it? It's right in front of me. I sure as hell see it. It sure as hell means something to me. Yeah, I don't know what to do with that. I just don't. So I'll have to work on it some more. I really shouldn't have to. I mean, I just never really anticipated that I'd have to go to court and prove that being alive and being dead are two different things, and in substance. Then being conscious and unconscious are substantially different things. Just didn't think that would happen. But whatever. I'm going to jog here, but people with their dog up ahead, if I jog into their dog, he'll get all paranoid and decide to bite me in the butt. So I can't do that. So anyway, I'll navigate. Till next time.